And trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
All right, guys, so good afternoon once again. We are here for the program Healthy Relationships. I've got Petreece Cuffie standing by right there with me, so I'm just trying to get her on the screen there. All right, so let me say good afternoon, Petreece. Compliments of the season. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Tiffany, and same to you, and same to all our viewers and listeners, and I hope you're seeing and hearing me clearly.
Yes, I am.
Okay, great, great. So we know we're into the Christmas season. Some people start all the way in July, but we know December is that time of the year. And, some people say it's the most wonderful time of the year, but to others, it's like a year right, because it can be very difficult during this time dealing with difficult relationships and also dealing with loss. So what I want to do in this two-part series is dealing with difficult situations at Christmas. And today I want to look at dealing with loss. And in the next session, I want to look at dealing with difficult relationships. And it was interesting today when I opened up Facebook. I was like, Petreece, really, every Christmas you're doing this? And, opened up Facebook and saw one of my Facebook friends. I never met her in person, but she's always been so warm and kind with all her comments and everything, with the things that I would post. I really felt sad seeing it. And the reality is that between October and now, I have a number of clients who have lost extremely close loved ones, parents and spouses and children. And all of them, me trying to help them cope with this season, which all of them actually, there are people who really, really into Christmas and celebrate Christmas. Christmas is a big deal for them. And all of these clients, Christmas really was a big deal for them. So, having to face this season without their loved ones. So I know this is something that I just have to do because it is a part of the reality on this side of eternity. So today, as I said, I want to be looking at dealing with grief at Christmas. And once we live long enough, we will experience loss of loved ones. In March last year, a good friend of mine died. In August last year, my aunt died. And you all know my story about the 2023, which was a really difficult year, where one of my younger sisters died. My grandmother died. And two friends died that year, all in between May and December. My granny died in December of that year. And even last year, a cousin of mine, she came back to Trinidad to release her youngest son's ashes. He was killed in 2022 abroad by a drunk driver. And that one really hit me hard because he was always around us when he lived in Trinidad. And of course, even in this year, 2024, there was loss. And Susan Duke, she shared some very powerful insight into her book, Grieving Forward. And this was a book that I got when there were other losses on my husband's side of the family. And I really wanted to be able to help in persons coping with it in a different type of way. And I found that Susan Duke, she shared some very powerful insights. And she actually lost her son in a car accident. And what she wrote is, grief changes our lives. When well-meaning people make statements like, you need to get over this and move on with your life, they don't realize that life as you know it and what used to be normal will never be the same again. It is learning how to incorporate loss into our lives that become the real challenge. We learn gradually to find a new normal. And sometimes, we ask, is it possible to fully recover and survive devastating loss and eventually embrace life again? It is yes and no, but as I tell people, there's always that ache that you feel in your heart when you've lost a very close loved one. So that, yes, I am able, as I allow God to heal me and I embrace his new normal, yes, I can find, happy things in life and, get my new normal. But I always feel that there's that ache there that says, until we meet again, right? Until we meet again. Now, there are many signposts along grief's pathway that lets us know how well we are coping with our loss. We never expect to get stronger, at least not in the beginning. So in the beginning, you feel like, I'll never get over this. My heart will be totally broken and shattered forever. You feel like that in the early stages, at the beginning of the loss. But little by little, we do realize that even when we didn't feel we were making progress, we were actually becoming stronger. And I always share when I felt like I was crying every single day when my sister passed. And then one day I got up and I realized I didn't cry yesterday and I didn't cry the day before. Okay, Petreece, you are getting stronger. Now, every stage of grief needs its time to do its work in our hearts. And I'll talk about these stages of grief. Everyone grieves differently, and this is important. But there are various components of grief that all will experience in one way or another. Now, grief is work. Grief is hard work. And this is why most persons, when they grieve, and they talk about feeling tired, because grieving actually causes you to feel tired, right? We all choose whether or not we are willing to work through grief, accept grief's process, and go beyond loss, a place of wholeness. And grief is work. We don't want to, a lot of times we want to avoid the pain, but the only way to get past the pain, or should I say the only way to heal, is to grieve. So you don't want to avoid grieving, dealing with the pain. Right? There's no getting over it. You just complicate things when we take longer to process that pain. Now, the stages of grief, shock, and this is the loss of someone has died. Shock, disbelief, I say anger and depression. Some persons don't put in depression. Reality, acceptance, and reconciliation. And those are the primary stages of grief. So I just want to go into that. Now, shock. It is hard to grasp what has happened. Shock brings a sort of anesthetic, numbing that pain. We are making arrangements, we're dealing with people, and people usually marvel at our strength. Oh my God, you're all right. Wow, you're holding up so well. Shock is our built-in shock absorbers to cushion us during our grief over those first fragile days, or else, actually, in reality, we could not humanly handle it. When somebody hears something like, you just said goodbye to a loved one, and then 5 hours later, you heard that they died in an accident. There was no illness, there was no anything. That is not something you could wrap your mind around. You could not humanly just handle that. And God has placed in us, right, when Adam and Eve sinned, life became stressful and unfair for all of us. And God has placed certain things there to help us to cope with some of these pains in life. And you see that shock that we feel, that cushions us from really taking in all that news means, that this loss means. And that's the first stage of grief. And then there's the disbelief. And disbelief is normal for a period. It's like, no, this is not true. This didn't really happen. No, I'll see them coming knocking on the door. They'll give me a call. I will call and speak to them. There's this disbelief that we feel. It is extremely hard to perceive our lives without those who have been such an integral part of our being. While they will always be within our hearts and memories, we face the reality that we can no longer be with them physically. We cannot feel a hug from them. We cannot look into their eyes and talk to them. And disbelief hits hard during times of celebration or holidays as we realize they will never again share those holidays, that we would never again share those holidays with our loved ones whom we had to say goodbye to. Making a conscious choice to honor their memories help remind us that they will always be a part of our lives until we meet again. A framed photo taken on a particular holiday placed in a special setting. Sometimes we can have a special display and we have little video displays, honors the ones we have lost and conveys our heart sentiment that we will always remember. And so sometimes, you can take photos and do a little collage and put it somewhere, something to remember them, to honor them. But there is that disbelief. Almost as if I see the person come back and say, hey, hi, Petreece. You come back. Because there's this cannot be true. This cannot be happening. And then there's anger. And it is okay to be angry. It is okay to be angry. Anger is a real part of the healing process. And we can often stuff our anger inside because, we can say, I shouldn't feel like this. But remember, feelings are neither right nor wrong. What is right or wrong is how we think and what we do, how we behave, right? And if we keep that anger inside, what it can do is that it can breed long-term bitterness. It is much better to acknowledge your anger, whether I'm feeling angry with myself, I feel angry with God, I feel angry with caretakers, I feel angry with the person, I feel angry, whatever that anger is related to. It is good to be able to acknowledge it. Talk it over with someone where I don't feel I have to pretend. So I know I can tell this person how I feel and they would hear me out and they would even validate those emotions. Be honest with your feelings. Sometimes even sitting down and writing, journaling, writing about your thoughts and emotions is very, very important. And sometimes we vacillate between anger and depression. So we feel angry and then we feel very, very sad or very depressed. And that is a stage in the grieving process. So being angry is normal, but staying angry is a warning sign. So if you see, okay, I'm grieving, yes, I'm angry, and then I'm moving past, angry, depressed, and I'm able to, share that, talk about that, expose that, process that, and I'm moving on, good. But if a year later I'm still angry about, no, you need to get help. You need to get help, right? And then there's reality. When shock and disbelief have diminished, the reality of what has happened sets in. All the people have left to go back to their normal routine. You are left to navigate through the maze of pain alone, through what seems like countless, endless days and nights. You may feel a sense of solitude and at times even a kind of safeness in your solitude. You may even want to stay out of public so you don't have to pretend to be okay, because I really don't want anybody to ask me how I'm going, how I'm feeling, or don't want anybody to say something that I would consider, say I'm going through grief, consider, inappropriate. And I end up saying something, inappropriate myself. And your feelings may change daily. On any given day, if you rather be alone, give yourself permission to do that. Balance your time of solitude with socializing. Give yourself time to adjust to the change that has occurred in your life. Something major has happened. A lot of times, persons die, loved ones die, and you look out into the world and you see people laughing and talking, and you wonder how could they be laughing and talking when something so horrible has happened in the world? And you even sometimes get upset that people just look so normal when your close loved one, has passed. And it's normal to feel those things, right? It's normal to feel those things. And then after realization, there's acceptance. Some have acceptance as the second stage of grief, but I have found it is only when we allow ourselves to fully experience the depths of grief with no barriers that we are able in time to accept the reality of our loss and how it changes our lives. You may sometimes wish that you would wake up and everything would be normal again, but life has changed forever, and it will take time to realize what all of that entails. By allowing ourselves to fully experience the pain of loss, realizing our lives have been altered, we move towards acceptance and healing. So acceptance is a kind of settling. So that realization hit, okay, oh my goodness. And they start to realize really how much you have lost. There's that. But then there is an acceptance, and that's a sort of settling. So pay attention to your own efforts to deliberately try to camouflage or internalize your grief. And I saw that with me this year with the loss of someone. And I felt like I didn't even want to think about how I was feeling. I didn't even want to think about how I was feeling. I felt like I didn't even want to process anything. And I said, Petreece, you need to just sit with yourself a little bit, because that probably is what could be making you feel a bit tired, right? So pay attention to your own efforts to deliberately try to camouflage or internalize your grief. Be kind to yourself and allow your tears to flow. So after acceptance is not the last stage. So acceptance, yes, things have changed and it will never be the same again. I have accepted that this is what it is. There is reconciliation. Reconciliation, right? This is a bringing together and an understanding. Reconciliation. While acceptance brings compliance, a realization that what has happened cannot be undone or changed, reconciliation moves us a step further. It brings us to a place of willingness to weave our losses with the present and the future and submit our wills to God's plans and purposes. Reconciliation means that we do more than just accept the grief. We invite with open hands and heart all that God desires to pour in us and through us because of this grief. So really, we have become stronger. So we had a new normal before, and in reconciliation, we are realizing that this has been truly painful, but it has helped to make me a better and stronger person. There are things that I may have taken for granted. There are things that would have happened to other people that I didn't even realize that I may have been insensitive. I didn't realize how they were feeling. So I have grown wiser and stronger, and I'm willing to open my hands and heart for God to give me a new normal that can be great, that can be a blessing, right? That can be and will be full of hope as I open my arms to God. And that's the last stage. Now I want to share some tips on how you deal with the Christmas season having lost a loved one. And some of the tips I'm sharing, they come from Amy Goya of aarp.org. And of course, as you know, I'm putting in my own experience personally and professionally. Now, grieving the loss of a loved one is a deep and difficult challenge at any time. But the holiday season can magnify your sense of loss and mourning. Family gatherings and seasonal events can be painful reminders of the absence of a loved one. At the same time, they can also be comforting rituals where you spend time with family and friends, focusing on good memories and trying to recapture your sense of joy. Remember, it is not the grief you want to avoid. A lot of times we want to avoid the pain, but grief is the way out of the pain. The grieving is the way out of the pain. So if you're mourning a loss of a loved one at this time of the year, here are some tips that I want you to keep in mind. 1. Give yourself permission to do what feels comfortable. It is okay. Many times we just want to please others. It's all about others. No, it is okay to give yourself permission to do what feels comfortable. Most people decide what is right for you, and they may want to tell you, okay, this is what you need to do. Remember, this is what your mom would have liked to know. Remember, this is what your husband would like. Remember, this is what you... Right. But you must decide what is right for you. You must decide what is right for you to do. You have every right to change your mind even a few times. Friends and family members may not have a clue how to help you through the holidays, and you may not either. It is up to you to decide which activities, traditions, or events you can handle. Do not feel obliged to participate in anything that does not feel doable. Grieving takes time. You are very vulnerable right now, so all you need to do to get through the day or the week or the season in a healthy way, you need to decide what that is, right? Try not to think beyond that. So I'm going to do all I can do to get through this time, and give yourself permission to do what feels comfortable. Second, accept your feelings, whatever they might be. Everyone takes his or her own path in grief and mourning. Some may try to avoid sad feelings. Others will be bathed in tears. Some feel bad that they are not up to enjoying the holidays. Others feel guilty because they are feeling joy. However you feel, accept it and accept the inevitable ups and downs. You may feel peaceful one moment and gut-wrenchingly sad the next. Try to remember what the Bible says about death and the love of God, and you will know how to get through the holidays without judging yourselves and others. Number 3, call on family and friends. Talk with loved ones about your emotions. Be honest about how you would like to do things this year. If you know you can't handle certain things, please say. If you want to talk about those who have passed, then do so and let others know it is okay. There are sometimes, people wonder, I wonder if we should talk about this loved one who has passed, with the person who is grieving and the concern. Sometimes you could tell, it's okay, I want to talk about him. I want to talk about her. I want to share, you all to share your memories. It helps, say that. Talk to a friend or relative. Take a friend or relative to events for support to create an escape plan together in case you need to bow out quickly. Seek professional support from a counselor. Sometimes even read books or be a part of our support group. Some churches actually have support groups for persons who are dealing with loss and grief. Stay in touch with others who are grieving and offer their support. So sometimes people, they have lost a spouse, they have lost a child, and you can get support from them. Keep connections with close friends. Number 4, rearrange furniture if this would help with absent reminders. So, the person may have a special chair that they sat in, and it's very difficult for you seeing that chair empty or whatever. Some people like to keep things the same, and you have to remember, do what is good for you, best for you, comforting for you, helping you. Some people like to keep things the same. I don't want to move anything yet. I want everything to stay the same way that mommy had it or daddy had it, or whoever the loved one is, husband, wife, right, or child. And if that works for you, that is okay. And some people want to move things because the reminders are too much for them. So rearrange furniture or leave it as it is. Number 5, avoid sugar highs and lows because they naturally induce emotional lows. So lots of sugars could cause you to get a high and then just feel really down. Also, stay clear of overeating and under sleeping, especially with the holidays. It's so easy to overeat. Eating well balanced diet is very important, as much as you can, right? Some mood enhancing natural foods include yogurt, green tea, omega-3 rich foods, things like cod liver oil, salmon, and these things really help. Even things like dark chocolate. So people want to give you chocolate, tell them dark chocolate, please, right? Forgive, number 6, forgive and receive forgiveness through Jesus. Release everything to the Lord, including any regrets about your departed loved ones. Sometimes we have regrets. I wish I said this, or I wish I was there with them before they passed. So I know I felt I should have visited and I didn't visit. Just release those things to God. And especially, we understand that God knows, and God knows best. There are things we don't understand, but we understand that God is love. That's what we understand. So release regrets to God. Don't just be going beating up on yourself. Why didn't I say this? Why wasn't I there? I knew something told me I should have visited. I should have called. Release it. Release it to God. Release it, right? Forgive yourself. And if you feel that there's something you need to ask God for forgiveness for, ask him. None of us are perfect. None of us know and understand all things. A lot of times we are just doing the best based on the information that we have. Number 7, have a plan A and a plan B. A plan A is to go to the Christmas dinner or the Boxing Day lunch or the get-together with family and friends. If it does not feel right, have a plan B ready. A plan B may be a movie you both liked, or a photo album to look through, or a special place you went together. Many people find that when they have a plan B in place, just knowing it is enough. Just knowing I have a plan B, right, they feel better. Focus on the children. Many holidays place special attention on children, and it often helps to focus on their needs. Realize that your choices around getting through the holidays may affect the children in your family. If you withdraw, they may not understand why you do not want to join family festivities. Perhaps you can participate in family rituals or gatherings that are most important to the children and excuse yourself when you reach your limit. Number 9, plan. Sometimes the anticipation is worse than the actual holiday. Create comforting activities in the weeks approaching a holiday so that you can have something to look forward to rather than a build-up or a dread of the pain that the holiday could bring. I always tell people, When there's loss, always have a plan. Don't just let things just come upon you. Plan something. New activities might be easier, but familiar traditions might be comforting as well. Do what feels best for you. Surrounding yourself with positivity can be very helpful. Scaling back. If the thought of many holiday activities feels painful, overwhelming, or inappropriate this year, cutting back may help. For example, I'm not going to do all those decorations, right? Taking a break and not sending any Christmas cards or anything like that, right? You can limit your holiday get-togethers to small gatherings with your closest friends and relatives, or ask another relative to host the family get-together if you did it. Do whatever feels safe and comfortable for you. Create realistic expectations for yourself and others. And above all, be gentle with yourself. Give. Another tip, number 11, give. It is amazing how in times of grief, sometimes the biggest comfort is to give to others. We often feel paralyzed by the sheer emotions, sadness, feelings of helplessness or hopelessness. And in times of loss, we often want to do something that will make a difference. So consider these options. If you have lost a loved one, gift giving at holiday times may be a challenge. Shopping for gifts and seeing the perfect gift to give someone that you'll never be able to give a gift again could be tough, right? Shopping online may be a better option for you, right? And to shop online, and I just go specifically for what I want to give to persons, who I want. You might purchase something that symbolizes the person or time before the loss and donate it to a needy family, or donate in a loved one's name to a charity or cause that he or she cherishes. So they cherish this particular cause, and I want to donate in their name, for them. Negative circumstances may also surround the loss you have experienced, and it is easy to fall into a focus on, the sadness, the horror, the anger. So sometimes where people would have lost a loved one through a drunk driver may have, killed a loved one, or persons may have died as a result of things like cancer. You can try channeling your energies to help create good in the world. Volunteer to help people in some way which is related to the cause that caused such anguish. So, I could help other persons who would have lost loved ones through a road accident, right? Or donating or giving of your time or talent to a charity that deals with supporting cancer survivors, right? So you can use those things to help you in terms of giving and not feeling so powerless at that time. Number 12, acknowledge those who have passed. When we are grieving the loss of someone very close to us, it can be helpful to participate in a related holiday activity in his or her memory. And some ideas, just talking about them, buying children toys or books to donate in their name, planting a tree, displaying their picture, or placing an item of theirs among your holiday decorations. You could just do something different. Number 13, do something different. Acknowledge that things have changed. They have changed. The holidays will not be the same as it was ever again. Accepting this will help manage expectations. Plan new activities, especially the first year after the loss. Go on a new location for family celebrations. So just do something different. change the menu, invite friends over, travel, something that you would have never done before. You could do something different. Create new memories. Many families return to their usual routines and rituals after the first year, but some enjoy incorporating their new experiences permanently. And number 15, this is one. Just skip it. Skip it. If you feel that is too much for you or it's too much for you and your family, you could simply decide that I am not participating in holiday events. And nothing is wrong with that. Sometimes you can even decide to leave the country, go somewhere else with either yourself or your family and not be a part this year, right? Let family and friends know. But plan alternative comforting activities for yourself, especially if you're doing this alone, right? And let someone know what you will be doing. It is a good idea to make sure someone checks in on you, especially if you live alone and you're deciding, I don't want to do all these family things this year. I just want to do something by myself, right? And you let persons know what you're doing so that persons can check in on you from time to time. But yes, we can skip it. We can decide, I'm not doing this. I don't feel like this year. And that is okay. That is okay. Grief has a new, unique way of giving us the permission to really see what is relevant in terms of what are the parts of the holidays that we enjoy and what parts we do not. Grief really helps us to evaluate even other things in life, like what really matters. And we realize that relationships are what really matters, how we treat people, and so many times we sweating on the little stuff. And when loss happens, you realize, okay, some of these things I really was putting too much emphasis on certain things, right? Remember, there is no right or wrong way to handle the holidays in grief. It is very natural to feel that you may never enjoy the holiday time again. They will certainly never be the same as they were. However, in time, most people can find some enjoyment in the season again. Even without grief, our friends and relatives often think they know how our holidays should look and what the family should and should not do. So what I'll say to you is to remember this. Be gentle with yourself and protect yourself. Do not do more than you are able. Do allow time for your feelings. Do not keep feelings bottled up. If you have 500 tears to cry, do not stop at 250. Do allow others to help. We all need help in certain times of our lives. Do, in grief, pay attention to the children. Children are too often forgotten grievers. Remember, trials do not indicate a reduction in God's love for you. He loves you and promises to make all things right in the end. Spend time focusing on God's unchanging love. And Romans 8:38 to 39 says, For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will ever be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus, our Lord. And even as I close, I just want to share some things not to say to someone in grief, and then some things that we can say in grief, right? So things not to say. to someone who is in grief. You'll get through it. Be strong. He brought this on himself. It was his fault. She's in a better place. It's been a while. Aren't you over her yet? He lived a long life. At least he didn't die young. God must have wanted her there because she's such a good person. You're young. You can always have another child. I know exactly how you feel. I guess it was his time to go. Everything happens for a reason. Life goes on. Those are things you don't want to say to someone who's in grief. What do you want to say to someone who's in grief? I cannot imagine what you're going through. I am so sorry for your loss. I don't know what to say. I wish I had the right words to comfort you. You, your family, and your loved ones will be in my thoughts and prayers. She was so nice to me. One of my favorite memories of her was and share that happy memory of the person who passed. Whenever you want to talk, just know that I am a phone call away. He or she was so wonderful. He or she will be missed by so many people. I am your friend. I am here for you. If you can't think of anything to say, a hug may be appropriate. Right? You can't think of anything to say, just hug the person. And sometimes, just be with the person. You don't have to say anything. Remember, grieving the loss of a loved one is the worst pain someone can endure in terms of their whole life, and it's the worst pain they may have ever experienced in their life. Be respectful and polite. Don't discount anyone's feelings. Even if someone puts on a brave face and looks like he or she is handling it well, don't assume that the person is. Show that you care. And especially in grieving, actions often speak louder than words. Offer to take them to the grocery store, watch the children for an afternoon, help around the house. These gestures mean a lot to a person whose world has just been turned upside down. All right, so in next session, next Monday, God's willing, I want to share on having, where we have difficult relationships and dealing with those difficult relationships in this holiday or Christmas season. Tiffany?
Right here with you, Petreece. Well, it's already 1 p.m., but nevertheless, let me just share your numbers your number with persons who might be interested in sending you a message. Remember, guys, this is only a WhatsApp number, so you leave a message for Petreece, and she will get right back to you. All right, that number is 329-7383. All right, if I pick up on any messages, Petreece, I will definitely get them to you.
Sure.
But thank you so very much for sharing
Very
with
welcome.
us this dealing with the difficult situations at Christmas at this time. I'm certain persons they've appreciated this topic today. So God bless you, and until we meet again, Petreece, have a beautiful
God bless
day.
you too.
And
yes,
I
and
know
blessing to all our listeners.
Yes, you celebrated your anniversary recently. I didn't get the opportunity to tell you, but happy anniversary. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
And you with many more beautiful years. Until we meet again.
Thank you.
Until
all
we
right.
meet again. God bless you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Blessings.
All right, guys, that was the program Healthy Relationships with counselor and trainer Petreece Cuffie. Dealing with difficult situations at Christmas. It's a part 2 series, so look out for more. Dealing with loss, dealing with difficult relationships. 329-7383, that's her WhatsApp number. Send her a WhatsApp message and she will get back to you. You can also check out on Facebook at Petreece Cuffie and Associates Equipping People for Life. Follow her on Instagram at Petreece Cuffie 1470. Check out her website, coffeeconsultant.com. And her services include counseling online and in person for individuals, adults and adolescents, married and premarital couples, families as well, online support groups for divorced and separated persons, online mentoring and coaching groups for married couples with Huey and Petreece Cuffie. Training, workshops and webinars include a marriage enrichment, premarital workshops, parenting, building healthy relationships, lay counselor training and self-esteem improvement. Available webinars on the website coffeeconsultant.com, understanding men and their emotions and how to encourage them to share, understanding marital trust and how to rebuild it when it is broken. Books, What My Parents Taught Me About Sex, Marriage and Choosing a Husband by Huey and Petreece Cuffie, and The Mind for Christ by Huey Cuffie, and these are available at Amazon.com. So we pull the curtains down on another edition of Healthy Relationships. We're ready to step into our hour two right here on the 981.
Hi, I'm Petreece Cuffie, counselor and trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
Boston, and you're listening